Right, who wants to start a debate? Me too, it's fun and creates chaos. But given the fact that AEW has become somewhat of a monster match factory as they smash out bangers every single week, I thought I would go to the internet to see what it deems to be the best of the best. I use Cage Match for the info, so make sure you check them out, and yeah, here's the 10 ultimate AEW matches according to some cats on the internet. Number 10, Hangman Page vs. Jon Moxley at AEW Revolution 2023. Scoring a whopping 9.28 out of 10 on Cage Match, which is pretty good. This was indeed the Texas Death Match. So let's not pretend these aren't popular in today's sports entertainment landscape. I think the real appeal of this is that AEW did exactly as advertised, because if you tuned in to watch Moxley and Page share a cup of tea, you were crazy. They acted like they wanted to kill each other. I mean, John stabbed Adam with a fork for a while, which I'm still not over, and the weapons kept on coming because the cowboy got a barbed wire steel chair and hit Moxley so hard, some of his hair came out of his skull. Good grief. Barbed wire board also cut both guys up, and the finish was literally Page hanging Jonathan and trying to kill him. There's no two ways about it. If Moxley hadn't have tapped out, he would have submitted from life. Whatever that means. It's why the ending was so good, because Mox never gives up, and here he had no choice. He had been out-brutalized, to say the least. You can totally see why this is here, even though, damn, it is tough to watch, intentionally so. Number 9, Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing 2020. What do you do when the chips are down? You do a massive brawl in a stadium that Tony Khan just so happens to own. Why not? Coming in the middle of the pandemic, all plans had gone out of the window, so the creative brains at AEW went back to the drawing board and decided to just let the Inner Circle and an extended version of the Elite brawl around the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was excellent. A big reason for this is because they just had fun too, especially with Hangman Page and Jake Hager just enjoying themselves, but there was a sense of fear as well. These maniacs were jumping off the football goalposts. Can't fake that. If you want to call it All Elite Wrestling's version of sports entertainment, I won't argue with you, and it's just a joy to watch, and at the time was the perfect distraction. Didn't have to worry about the sadness outside, plus it had a horse in it. Winner, hence the 9.28 out of 10 rating it rightfully received. Number 8, Kenny Omega vs. Hangman Page at Full Gear 2021. Well, look who's back again. Don't you tell me the cowboy hasn't maximized his minutes in AEW. The dude never misses. This was especially good though because the story was sublime. Omega and Page had gone through it all before they totally fell out, and the effects were so devastating, he became an anxious wreck. No character in recent memory has been this relatable. Kenny had also leveled back up during his awesome AEW World title reign, while also becoming Public Enemy #1, so we had drawn the battle lines wonderfully. We had our good guy, we had our bad guy, and every fan bought in as intended. We also sold this like Omega was on his last legs after pushing it too hard, which was looking to the future, but ultimately, we kept it simple. We all wanted the Hangman to get his moment, and he did. Became the champ. It was great. I don't think these two can actually have a bad match, although topping the end here may be difficult. And Adam was just screaming, "Is that all you've got, Mother Hubbard?" But spoiler, he did not say Hubbard. 9.29 out of 10. Number 7, Cody Rhodes vs. Dustin Rhodes at Double or Nothing 2019. So good it also got a 5-star rating in the Wrestling Observer. Cage Match rates it at 9.42 out of 10. It's deserved. The match that Cody and Dustin always wanted to have in WWE, it actually served them better to do it in AEW because the extra freedom they had made it 3 times as good. I mean, the blood, man. The emotional blood. Dustin lost so much of the red stuff the mat was covered by the end, which was quite the sight, and it all tied in. When he kicked out late on, he sort of did it on instinct as the rest of his body was done. It was all he had left. Cody also played his part perfectly as he straddled the line between super good guy and destroyer of siblings, but getting the win here really did draw a line under what we were trying to do. The tears afterwards will wreck you as well and remind you that wrestling can feel very real even if we know the deal. And that rhymes, which means it's most definitely true. Number 6, Hangman Page vs. Bryan Danielson at the January 5th, 2022 AEW Dynamite. Well, he returns once more. It's almost like Mr. Page is quite the wrestler. Who knew? Getting a whopping 9.44 out of 10 on Cage Match, the second clash between the Cowboy and Danielson is so damn good because they do not waste 1 second. The whole thing had been thought through like crazy. The idea was Bryan had decided to ruin this man and systematically take his arm apart until his own madness became his undoing. When he was trying to apply the label lock, he couldn't because Adam was covered in so much blood. It was like trying to apply a submission to a seal. They did look pretty wet. It allowed Hangman to escape before he dug deep to fire back with his entire arsenal and win, but you know the deal. Nobody actually lost because it was just too good. We all walked off amazed that this was the level of match we're now getting on free TV. I tell you, we have been spoiled. It was also part of this Bryan Danielson run where he just kept getting better and better, and look where we are today. Many people are now saying he is one of the greatest workers ever. You ain't gonna get an argument from me. Number 5, the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers at All Out 2021. Getting a 9.50 rating and happening inside a steel cage, many have called this one of the best tag team matches ever. It's a huge reason why the arrival of AEW has been so important, because the Young Bucks were pivotal to its existence and therefore they were always going to push tag wrestling. It's been a while since that was a real thing in mainstream American wrestling. Both teams also used the cage as intended because every single smash against the mesh was treated like death. When we got to the counters towards the end, they are quite frankly ridiculous, and in many ways they make no sense. You also get the thumbtack sneaker attack from Matt Jackson, which may never be topped in terms of where did that come from, and the emotion they drew from this. Seeing Penta a bloody mess but desperate to keep his brother Phoenix safe brought those tears. Don't you tell me there was no story here. It really made the ending even more impactful because it was the Luchas who won the belts and went on to become the champions, and that had to happen. They had fought so damn hard. I have a feeling you could get to the year 2042 and go back to this and still get something out of it. It is an all-time classic. Number 4, Hangman Adam Page vs. Bryan Danielson at AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming. 9.54, my friends. 9.54. Kicking off Hangman's world title reign with a bang, the Cowboy and Bryan got into it and it was just magic. I suppose we've already talked about this, but that just underlines it. All their matches are in this list. We went old school here too, as it was an Iron Man match that ended in a draw, and once again, don't forget that this was on free television. So you just got 60 minutes of two people trying to kill each other. As ever, Danielson was just something else as he flew around the place constantly and negated Page's arm so he couldn't use the buckshot. We've touched on this with Adam. He may be the ultimate babyface. The American Dragon had also seamlessly gone bad guy for this contest, which helps with his wild offense. And even the pacing of the match and story seemed to have been planned to tie in with the commercial breaks. That's ridiculous. The real skill was knowing that fans wouldn't buy Hangman losing his belt because he only just won it, and yet look at this. There was a few moments where you thought to yourself, well, maybe. Just maybe. Number 3, Kenny Omega vs. Bryan Danielson at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam 2020. A massive 9.57 rating for this one, but this is why numbers actually don't matter at all. All Omega and Danielson did is look at each other and Arthur Ashe Stadium went crazy. That's wrestling right there. These two didn't care about the expectations either and just had a whale of a time because, yep, this was a dream match. Two of the best to ever do it, fighting in front of 20,000 people. We were thinking long term as well because it went 30 minutes with nobody getting the victory, and the last second counters here. I don't get how they timed everything so well, and as ever, Bryan didn't care despite being once forced into retirement. This guy wrecked himself. I suppose you could throw Omega into that bubble as well because down the line he was going to have to take time off too to rehab his injuries, but this is why they're among the best. They never give anything less than everything, and Exhibit A is right here. Number 2, MJF vs. Bryan Danielson at AEW Revolution 2023. I am glad that MJF gets in this list, because that dude doesn't get his due. Yes, we know he can talk and has the sports entertainment side of the industry down, but Maxwell Jacob Friedman is a top-tier in-ring worker too. Some people just forget that because he doesn't compete week in, week out. Well, that just means he's a smart dude. We've discussed Danielson throughout this video and he's just all time. So when these two had an Iron Man match for the AEW title, well, it got a 9.63 rating. Sums it up. It could also very well be the best Iron Man match in existence because, my word, everything from the pacing to the brutality is on point, and Bryan went and did it again. MJF wasn't going to lose as he only just won the championship, but what if he did lose? Has this power. The extra few minutes at the end are also just perfect violent theatre, and MJF having to resort to his scumbag ways made for great storytelling. If anybody wants to put on a better Iron Man match, they're going to have to come up with something truly special. But even then, will this one be diminished? Absolutely not. Number 1, Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks at AEW Revolution 2020. It does seem fitting that at the moment these guys would top this list because they are AEW. Not sure it ever exists without them, and when they met after weeks of turmoil, they just pulled it out the bag. The fact that a tag team match is in this place too rocks, because as we've already discussed, it is an art form all of its own, and for 30 or so minutes, these four just craft wrestling, stormer, and drama into one excellent fight. They also circumvent the usual heel-face dynamic, because every character had a different and unique reason to win this thing, and you also have the underpinning issues that this was the Elite, and they weren't really a proper unit anymore. The Omega Hangman dynamic was also being pulled apart, and the Young Bucks were just on fire here. It's a very swift reminder that they had taken 2-on-2 grappling and brought it back to the forefront. If nothing else, it's just super fun to watch, which is always the point, and of course one day we'll probably revisit this match, and the expectations may be impossible to reach. That's how well received this was. Are there any other AEW matches you're now thinking of and shouting, well, why didn't Cage Match rate that higher? Well, you can talk about them in the comments below. Before you like the video, share the video, and smash that subscribe button. You can also read more stuff like this at whatculture.com. You can click one of the videos on the screen now to continue your What Culture wrestling journey. And you can follow us on social media, because why the flub not? My name is Simon from What Culture. As you can tell, I'm losing my voice, mostly because I am recording this after All In, so I did a lot of shouting. Let's always be wrestling nerds, and I'll talk to you again soon.